good morning and welcome. It's Corporate Governance Platform brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. I am Funmi Omoburiwo. Let me remind you that ICSAN is dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. ICSAN is the only professional body authorized in Nigeria to conduct the examinations leading to the qualification of chartered secretaries and administrators. On the program this morning, we want to look at role of ethics in business and influence on corporate brand. Our guest this morning is Mrs. Bunmi Adefolu, ACIS. She's Vice Chair, Visitation and Activation Committee. She's also Executive Assistant to the Group Managing Director, FedEx. Good morning, Mrs. Adefolu.
Good morning, Funmi.
All right. Thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much. It's nice having me.
All right. Also here is Mr. Kade Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN. Good morning, Mr. Ketefe.
Good morning, Funmi. Good morning to you, all our listeners.
All right, we're going to take this message and we'll be right back.
Hey, Obinna, good to see you. You look so worried. Is everything all right? I'm having serious issues in my company. Balancing the interests of my company's many stakeholders like shareholders, management, customers, financiers, government, and community is giving us a problem. That has to do with corporate governance. Exactly. Then, you need to get in touch with ICSAN. ICSAN? Yeah, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. ICSAN. They provide you with seasoned and top-ranking professionals trained to uphold the standards of corporate governance and efficient operations. You can also get in touch with ICSAN if you want to become a chartered secretary and administrator. Contact ICSAN by visiting the website www.icsan.org or call 009 06 601 69. ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
All right, earlier, like I said, we will be looking at role of ethics in business and influence on corporate brand. All right, Mrs. Adefolu, let's begin this way. When we say ethics, what do we mean by this?
Okay, thank you for me. To talk about ethics in business, it refers to the code of best practices that is embedded in operational environment, which guide the people to the right and acceptable decision in their choices and in the performance of the work. What are we saying here? We are saying that in any organization, there are principles, there are values, there are norms that guide the way people work so that they can achieve their set goals. And in ethics, this function has been given to, in formulation, the ethics and ethos for corporate organizations has been given to the board. So board are expected to implement this. Board are expected to formulate. When they formulate it, then the management implement it. And everybody must be committed to ensure that the success of corporate ethos by making sure that they accept and they believe in it and they work on it, so that at the end of the day, the establishment is protected and enhance the reputation of that company, and it promotes good conduct, and investors have confidence in the company that they put their money into.
All right, let's look at relevance of ethics in the context of corporate governance.
Okay. When we talk about corporate governance, it's just a way in which companies are being directed and controlled, just like it is said in the Cadbury Committee. It's also the principle, that guide the activities of how the company is properly run. So if corporate governance does this, it helps, companies to work in tandem with laws. What are the laws? What are the regulations? And what are the best practices that must be put in place? Because at the end of the day, it ensures sustainability for the company. And so if you now look at ethics, ethics talks about code of best practices that guide people in a given environment. So it makes it for them to be able to be guided in the way they work. So there's a convergence between the corporate governance and also the ethics. And with this in mind, the company is well guided in the way they work. And the link between them is relevant because at the end of the day, it has established the concept for corporate governance. For example, the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance of 2018 provides that inter alia that directors should not make improper or prejudicial use of information acquired as director, and not disclose non-public information except where disclosure is authorized or legally mandated. So it's important that there are rules that guide the operations of the organization. And so with that, you have corporate governance, you have actors working together.
Okay. We all know how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected, companies, organizations, and every aspect of our lives. Do you think this pandemic has amplified the ethical issues, especially for companies and organizations?
Okay. I think, just like you said, COVID has affected every area of the country, even, the way people work today. And so the same thing, it applies even to the ethical issues of the company. It has brought about new dimensions. And for example, a company owner will have 10 members of his company being tested positive for the COVID, for example. And it is expected that it disclose this information to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, that's NDC. However, this company could also bury this information, and with that means it's an ethical issue. And unfortunately, if the government gets to know about it, they are being punished for it. In fact, some of the things that happened during COVID, when there was a total lockdown, some companies hold their staff up, and they were working while the lockdown was on. For such a company, they will face that's an infringement of the law, and they will face the consequence of their action. So it's very important to say that, COVID-19 has also brought about different rules that company must be worried about.
What are the likely consequences of ethical aberrations by the companies?
Okay, when we talk of aberration, is when there is a deviation from companies in doing what they're supposed to do. And there are consequences when you do not do what you're supposed to do. And so it jeopardizes the interest of the company. For example, in a company where there are sharp practices by the chief top executives, this, at the end of the day, it imposes, fine by the government. It also leads to financial loss because on the long run, they will pay for the action that they made. And so with that, it dents the brand of the organization. And unfortunately, it has multiple negative effects on the organization. So there are consequences, and these consequences are very grave. So that's why we have the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance that provides that board should be responsible for monitoring adherence to the Code of Business Conduct and Ethics to ensure that if there are breaches, they must immediately sanction them. And this responsibility, the board can as well delegate it to the board committee, to ensure, for example, the nomination and governance committee, to ensure that company adhere to it so that there's no aberration by the company.
All right. Just like we talked about the consequences of the ethical aberrations, are there accruable benefits? Maybe we should mention them. Accruable benefits to a company for ethical observations.
Okay. Of course, there's always a second side to the coin. If there are, deviations to the rules, there are consequences to suffer loss at the end of the day. And if there are also adherence to rules, there must also be, good opportunity or advantages that will come to the company. It prevents the company from having disaster when there are sound ethical culture, the organization. And so, by so doing, it fosters mutual trust among stakeholders. There will be, when there are compliance to the rules and laws of the organization that is expected, then the directors will also enjoy relationship between themselves and the other shareholders, even the community where the organization works with CSR, because they adhere to what they need to do. And it promotes profitability and sustainability by the investors. Investors are also inspired to even put more of their money into such company. Thank you.
All right. I have to say a very big thank you to you, Mrs. Bumi Adefolu. All right. Before I let you go, let me ask this. Will you say ICSAN as an institution has an entrenched ethical culture from which others can borrow a leaf?
Yes. ICSAN being an institute that promotes governance matters and also, corporate administration support to ensure there's a structure in place, there are principles and all that. So with that on ground, it helps, the people, to understand what is expected of them, to deliver on that. And so when you have any member of the institute in any organization, they are able to bring on board what they have learned and be able to use it as to promote ethical culture in that organization or wherever they find themselves function. So ICSAN has what it takes when it comes to teaching organization how to be ethically, applicable, so compliance to the rules.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Bumi Adefolu, ACIS, Vice Chair, Visitation and Activation Committee, ICSAN, Executive Assistant to the Group Managing Director, FedEx. Thank you for joining us on Corporate Governance Platform this morning.
Thank you, Fumi.
All right, Mr. Kete, first some announcements.
Thank you very much, Fumi. The first announcement today is on the ICSAN 2021 Annual General Meeting, which is scheduled to hold in just 48 hours' time. ICSAN 2021 AGM holds Friday, July 30. This is to inform ICSAN members and other stakeholders that the 2021 Annual General Meeting of the Institute is scheduled to hold on Friday, July 30th, 2021. The AGM, which is the 47th of its kind, will hold on the said day at the National Secretariat, Plot 6, Elephant Cement Way, Alausa, Ikeja, at 11 a.m. prompt. However, owing to the restrictions on gathering as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, only the office bearers and council members will be attending physically, while other members will join virtually. The link to join the meeting has been sent to members. The notice of this AGM has been published in the Punch newspaper of 22nd June 2021 in compliance with statutory requirements regarding annual general meeting. For further detail on this, please contact Mike on 080-2311-7969. The other announcement is on the forthcoming investiture of a new president of the Institute. This is to inform ICSAN members, stakeholders in professional education and governance fields, as well as members of the public generally, that the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, will hold the investiture of our 28th President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Mr. Taiwo Bengawo Kalade FCIS, on Tuesday, August 10, 2021. The event will hold at the Shell Hall of the Mission Center, Marina, Onikon, Lagos, at 11 a.m. prompt. The chairman of the occasion is the Director General of the Nigeria Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILDS, Professor Abubakar Sulaiman. For more information on this investiture, please contact Afolabi on 08094367759. Please contact Afolabi on 08094367759. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN. And that's a bit this morning on Corporate Governance Platform. We'll return again next week, Wednesday, 10:15 a.m., right here on Equate 9.7 FM. I am Funmi Omoburio. Good morning once again, and enjoy the rest of the day.